It is a Saturday morning in May. You are standing in your garage, looking at a shelf full of half-used bottles and torn open bags. There is a crabgrass killer from 3 summers ago. There is a jug of weed and feed you used exactly twice. There is a spray a fellow at the store swore by, and you cannot even remember anymore what it was supposed to fix. Every one of those bottles was sold to you as the answer. And yet every spring, the same clover creeps in off the sidewalk, and the same crabgrass shows up along the driveway like it pays rent there. But after 50 years of lawn care advice passing through my hands, I can tell you it all boils down to 7 lessons. 7. Most of them cost you next to nothing, and together they decide whether you get a thick green lawn or another summer of pulling weeds. So today I am giving you all 50 years in one sitting. And stay with me to the very end, because the last lesson is about that little pop-up sprinkler in your front yard. The reason a 15-minute sprinkle every evening grows more weeds than grass comes down to one specific thing water does in the top quarter-inch of your soil, and nobody at any store ever explains it. I'm Larry Mitchell. For 25 years I ran the lawn and garden counter at our town's hardware store here in Ohio, and I watched every bag and bottle in America come across that counter. I saw what folks returned, what they bought again, and what actually fixed their yards. These days I just keep my own suburban lawn a few streets over, and my wife Diane will tell you it is my second marriage. Now, in those 25 years behind the counter, I watched hundreds of products come and go. Miracle sprays in the 80s, 4-step programs in the 90s, fancy hose-end gadgets after that. And I will be honest with you, neighbor. The store made its best money on the products that did not quite work, because the folks who bought them came back every single spring for another bottle. That is not a scheme. That is just plain commerce. The bag wants you back next year. But it does explain why the advice printed on the bag never quite gets you all the way there. Here's the thing. The advice that actually works has hardly changed in 50 years. The old golf course men knew it. The groundskeepers knew it. It just never fit on a label, because most of it is timing and habits, not something in a bottle. So I am going to walk you through all 7 lessons in order, from naming your enemy to that sprinkler at the end. And you could write the whole thing on one sheet of paper. It is simpler than you think. And keep that sprinkler in the back of your mind as we go, because 2 of these lessons will make a whole lot more sense once you hear what happens in that top quarter-inch of soil. I promise we are getting there. Now, before lesson 1, let me tell you where all 7 of these lessons live. Everything I am walking you through today is one piece of a full plan I wrote down, called Larry's 30-Day Weed Kill Protocol. It is the exact day-by-day system I follow to wipe out clover, crabgrass, dandelions, and the rest in 30 days, and to keep them from coming back. I wrote it for homeowners who are tired of fighting the same weeds every single season, and it reads just like these videos, calm and step-by-step. 88 pages, no fluff. You get Know Your Enemy, which shows you how to spot the big 7 lawn killers early. You get the Kill Protocol, with your tools, your budget, the 7-day elimination blitz, my trusted tenacity system, and organic and pet-safe alternatives that work without harsh chemicals. You get recovery and dominance, rebuilding the lawn afterward and setting up the prevention fortress so the weeds stay gone. And you get my month-by-month prevention calendar. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47. That is $17 against the whole shelf of bottles it replaces every year. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right. The book is there if you want it. Let's get to Lesson 1. Lesson 1. Know your enemy before you spend one single dollar. The biggest waste of money I ever watched at that counter, week after week, was good people buying the right product for the wrong weed. One gentleman came in 3 springs in a row for crabgrass killer. His problem was clover. Crabgrass killer does not touch clover. 3 years of spraying, 3 years of nothing. And the poor man was convinced the product was junk. The product was fine. The name on his enemy was wrong. So before you treat anything, take a slow walk around your yard and figure out what you are actually fighting. There are 2 big families. The first family is broadleaf weeds. Those are the plants with wide, flat leaves. And that family includes dandelions, clover, and creeping Charlie, that viney one with the little round scalloped leaves. The second family is grassy weeds. Those look like grass, only wrong. Crabgrass is the king of that family. It grows low and wide like a spider, and it loves the hot, thin soil along your driveway and sidewalk. Why does the family matter so much? Because nearly every product on the shelf is built for one family or the other. A broadleaf weed killer is designed to take out the wide leaf plants and leave your grass standing. A crabgrass product works in a completely different way. Put the wrong one down and you have paid good money to water the problem. There is one more thing your weeds are doing, and hardly anyone mentions it. They are talking to you about your soil. A lawn full of clover is usually a hungry lawn, because clover thrives where nitrogen is low and grass is starving. Fix the feeding, which we will get to in Lesson 5, and the clover loses its advantage. So the homework is easy. Take your phone out and snap a close picture of the weed. Show that picture at the garden center, or describe it down in the comments of this video. Folks do that all the time and I answer. Once you can name the weed, half the battle is already over. Trust me on this one. Lesson 2. Raise your mower deck. This lesson costs nothing, and it does more for weed control than any bottle I ever sold. Set your mower to 3.5 inches. That is 3.5 inches, usually the highest or second highest notch on the wheels. I know it feels wrong. Half the neighborhood scalps the lawn short because short looks tidy for a day or two. But every weed seed sitting in your soil is waiting on one thing, and that one thing is sunlight reaching bare dirt. Tall grass shades the soil underneath it. Shaded soil stays cooler and darker, and crabgrass seed simply will not sprout down there the way it does under a scalped lawn. Your mower height is a weed preventer you already own. Tall grass also grows deeper roots, and deeper roots reach moisture your weeds never will. Hold on to that thought about root depth, because it is the heart of the sprinkler story I promised you. 3 more habits while we are standing at the mower. Keep the blade sharp, because a dull blade tears the grass instead of cutting it, and torn tips turn brown and invite disease. Never cut off more than 1/3 of the grass height in one mowing. So if the lawn got away from you on vacation, bring it down in 2 passes a few days apart. And leave the clippings where they fall. Clippings are free fertilizer, and no, they do not cause thatch. That old story came from somewhere, but it was never true. 1 dial, 1 sharp blade, 1 simple rule. That is Lesson 2. Lesson 3. Timing beats product, every single time. Let me explain a word you will see on bags: pre-emergent. A pre-emergent is not a weed killer. It is a weed preventer. It lays an invisible barrier across the top of your soil, and when a crabgrass seed tries to sprout up through that barrier, the sprout dies before you ever see it. It does nothing at all to weeds that are already up and growing. That was the mix-up I untangled at the counter more than any other. And a pre-emergent lives or dies on one number: 55 degrees. When the soil, not the air, the soil, holds around 55 degrees Fahrenheit for a few days running, crabgrass seed wakes up. Your barrier has to be down and watered in before that happens. Put it down in the dead of winter, and it wears out before the seeds ever stir. Put it down in June, and the crabgrass already beat you to the light. And no barrier on earth helps you then. Now you do not need a soil thermometer, because nature hangs out a free one. Watch for the forsythia bushes in your neighborhood. Those are the shrubs that turn solid yellow in early spring before a single leaf comes in. When the forsythia blooms, that is your 2-week warning bell. Spread the pre-emergent while those yellow flowers are showing. Then water it in lightly, about 1/4 inch, so the barrier sets into the soil. Do it once, do it on time, and you will see maybe 1/10 the crabgrass this August. And hold this picture in your head. All that seed is lying right at the surface, in the top 1/4 inch, waiting on warmth and moisture. Remember I said the sprinkler story lives in that top 1/4 inch? We are getting close now. Lesson 4. Spot the weed. Do not soak the whole yard. For the weeds already standing, you want what the bag calls a post-emergent, which simply means it kills weeds that have already come up. And for a normal yard, you do not need a tank sprayer and a chemistry degree. A ready-to-use trigger bottle of broadleaf weed killer handles 9 out of 10 problems a homeowner will ever face. The routine takes 10 minutes. Put on a pair of gloves. Walk the yard on a calm morning with no wind. Spray each weed until the leaves are wet, not dripping. Put the bottle back on the shelf. That is the whole job. Blanketing the entire lawn with weed killer, spring after spring, is the treadmill the business quietly loves. It costs 5 times the money. It stresses thousands of square feet of grass that never had a weed in it. And it puts product where product was never needed. Spot spraying gets you the very same dead dandelion for pennies. 2 rules here that never ever bend. Read the label, the whole label, on every product, every time, and skip spraying on days above about 85 degrees, because heat makes even good products misbehave. And keep the kids and the pets off the grass until the spray has fully dried. The label tells you how long. I will say this plainly. I am not a licensed applicator. I am a fellow who sold this stuff honestly for 25 years. For the big jobs, a whole yard gone wrong, call a licensed pro and let them earn their money. One insider note before we move on, and this one surprises everybody at first. The best day to kill a dandelion is not in spring. It is a mild day in October. In fall, the plant is pulling everything it has down into that long taproot to survive winter, and it pulls your spray straight down with it, root and all. Spray in spring and you mostly burn the top while the root sits down there laughing at you. Same bottle, same weed, opposite result. Timing again. It is always timing. Lesson 5. Feed the grass and starve the weeds. A hungry lawn is a thin lawn, and a thin lawn is an open door with a welcome mat. But more fertilizer is not better fertilizer. Here in the north, with cool seasoned grass like mine, the feeding that truly matters comes in fall. Give the lawn a good feeding right around Labor Day. Then give it one more about 6 weeks later, sometime in the middle of October. Say it back to yourself Labor Day, then 6 weeks. Fall food goes down into the roots, and roots are what carry your lawn through next July. Summer is a different story. In the heat of July, leave the spreader in the garage. Heavy nitrogen in high summer pushes soft, thirsty growth at the exact moment the lawn is hanging on by its fingernails. And crabgrass enjoys that free meal far more than your bluegrass does. At the counter, the 4-step programs flew off the shelf every year. And between you and me, a couple of those steps mostly sold hope. How much do you put down? Whatever the bag says, no more. Follow the setting printed on the bag for your spreader. And when you are done, sweep any granules off the driveway and the sidewalk back onto the grass, because whatever sits on concrete washes straight into the storm drain and onto the creek, and the creek did not order fertilizer. The greenest lawns on my street are not the most fed. They are the best timed. Lesson 6. The best weed killer ever made is not in a bottle. It is a bag of grass seed. A weed needs 3 things to move in: light on the soil, a little open room, and no competition. A thick lawn takes away all 3 at the same time. So once a year, you thicken the lawn on purpose. That is called overseeding, which just means spreading new grass seed right over the lawn you already have, so the stand gets denser every single year. Up north, the window for this is late August into the middle of September. The soil is still warm from summer, the nights are turning cool, and the weed seeds are mostly finished for the year. So your new grass comes up with the field all to itself. Walk through it with me. Mow 1 notch lower than usual that week. Rake the thin spots hard, down to actual dirt, because seed has to touch soil to live. Seed sitting on top of dead thatch is bird food, not a future lawn. Spread the seed at the rate on the bag. Then keep the top of the soil damp until the new grass is up and growing. And here is the warning that saves folks a world of grief, because it ties Lesson 3 and Lesson 6 together. If you put down a crabgrass pre-emergent in spring, you cannot seed that same spring. That barrier in the soil cannot tell a crabgrass sprout from a bluegrass sprout. It kills them both without asking. So the rhythm of a good lawn year is simple. Prevent in spring. Seed in fall. The 2 never touch, and they never fight each other. Write that one on the garage wall. And that brings us to the part I promised you at the very start. The sprinkler. Lesson 7. The 15-minute evening sprinkle is quietly growing your weeds for you. Picture what that little sprinkle actually does. 15 minutes of watering soaks in about a 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch if your ground is sandy. Now think back to Lesson 3. Where does crabgrass seed sit? Right at the surface, in that top 1/4 inch of soil, waiting on 2 things: warmth and steady moisture. Your grass roots, when they are healthy, live 4, 5, 6 inches down. So a short daily sprinkle delivers water to exactly 1 address in your entire yard. The weed nursery. Night after night, you're keeping the seedbed perfectly damp while the water never comes close to where your grass actually drinks. And it gets worse in a quiet sort of way. Grass roots grow toward water. Water only the surface, and the roots come up shallow to meet it. Now your grass is living in the very same top inch as the weeds. Then the first hot, dry week of July arrives. That top inch bakes like a biscuit. The shallow-rooted grass browns out in days. And the crabgrass, which was built by God for hot, thin soil, takes the open ground. You watered faithfully every single evening, and you grew that crabgrass with your own hose. Nobody at the store tells you that, because a struggling lawn buys a lot of product. Evening makes it worse still. Grass that goes to bed wet stays wet all night, and wet leaves in the dark are exactly where lawn fungus gets its start. So here is the fix, and it is simpler than you think. Water deep. Water seldom. Water early. 1 inch of water once a week. In the morning, all at once or split across 2 mornings. That is 1 inch, total, for the whole week. To measure it, set an empty tuna can out on the lawn, run your sprinkler, and when that can is full, you have your inch. Time how long it took, and that number is yours forever. Deep water sinks down past the weed zone where the seed cannot use it. Your roots chase it downward, and a deep-rooted lawn shrugs off the same July week that used to brown you out. One exception, and only one. Brand new seed, like your fall overseeding, does need light, frequent water until it is up. Established grass never does. The old golf course men knew all of this before you and I were born. Water is not a daily chore, neighbor. It is a weekly tool. And that right there is the difference between fighting weeds every summer and being done with them. 50 years of advice, 7 lessons, and the whole thing written out day by day in Larry's 30-day weed kill protocol. It walks you from naming your enemy through the 7-day elimination blitz, the tenacity system, the pet-safe alternatives, the prevention fortress, and the month-by-month calendar, so you never have to wonder what comes next. 88 pages for $17, down from $47, which is less than one of those jugs gathering dust on your garage shelf right now. I would hand it across the counter to you myself if I still could. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there it is. Name the weed, mow tall, time the barrier, spot spray, feed in fall, seed thick, and water deep once a week in the morning. Now tell me in the comments which weed is winning in your yard right now. Clover, crabgrass, dandelions, name it. I read every single one. And next time I am going to show you why that bag of weed and feed sitting in your garage barely works at all, and the 1 week of the year when it actually earns its keep. You've got this, neighbor. I'll see you out on the lawn.